Markley, followed by Senator Boucher.
Thank you very much, Madam President. It's a pleasure to see you. It's a pleasure to be here for one day once in a while, as opposed.
Only once in a while, sir.
Yes, but that would be the ideal way of doing this, I think, is if we just did a few days now and then instead of a whole bunch of them all at once. And it's funny, of course, where are we? We're out on the campaign trail. I was at a forum yesterday morning with Senator Bartolomeo and also with Senator Fasano. And afterwards, Senator Fasano came up and complimented me on what a tiger I was at the forum. And I said, you know, I'm more unbuttoned in those circumstances, and perhaps to your sorrow. But I said to Senator Fasano, you know, the only place I'm intimidated is in this chamber. And I think it was some place that was designed to humble us in a lot of ways, to make us realize that time stretches out beyond us, that there's knowledge that we never are going to have, and that we ought to be cautious about our decisions always. I'm humbled also because I'm maybe too good at seeing both sides of a problem, which can be more confusing than illuminating sometimes. And this is a case where I understand very well why people are supporting this deal, and I'm sympathetic to their motivations. And you know, I'm also sympathetic to people's motives. I don't blame a corporation for coming to the state to look for help, for getting the best deal I can, any more than I blame a union for negotiating the toughest deal that it can negotiate, or anyone else for getting what they can get. The only party that can be blamed, I think, in those circumstances is us. We are the gatekeepers. We are the ones who have to have the determination to say no when the time comes to say no to all the worthy people that are asking us for support, for our help. And I will say no to this today. You know, again, out on the campaign trail, one of the things that comes up, especially in a time when we're so strapped financially as a state, is a discussion of what are the proper functions of state government. That we have to boil down what we actually need to be doing and confine ourselves to those areas, and not spend money and effort and state resources on things which are not really properly a state function. Republicans on many of these deals have argued that this kind of corporate investment is not a proper state function. I've heard my Republican colleagues say, in a derogatory way, we're picking winners and losers. I don't see how we can deny that in this case we're picking winners and losers. I think the argument that we'd get is, we know we have a winner in this one, so we're justified in making the pick. But I would say that if you are opposed to gambling, it doesn't matter whether you're sure that your horse is coming in or not. The question is, do I believe that gambling is the right way to go about it? And make no mistake, we are gambling in this case, and the principle is the same. Another term I hear from my colleagues on both sides is corporate welfare. And I've never heard anyone bring up corporate welfare to say that they supported it. It's always in opposition to it. Now, Senator France, whose expertise in this I have, as he knows, the deepest respect for. Let's say he has much more experience with money than I do. And I think that he has profited from that experience and has an understanding that I don't pretend to match. But I don't know what else you can call it but corporate welfare when you give a corporation hundreds of millions of dollars. If the comparison is to say, another colleague of mine said, it's not corporate welfare because we're going to get a return on it. I would say that always in the case of welfare, there's an excellent chance of getting a return. If we're talking about social welfare, if we take a struggling person and say we have given them assistance, and that person, because of that assistance, has been able to go to school and get a job and support a family, we have gotten a return on it. We still call it welfare. The term is still the term. And the last term that comes up in this, and I would say the ugliest term that comes up when we talk about giving money to corporations, is crony capitalism. And it made me think about the word crony. What's a crony? A crony is a friend, always, a friend that you're doing a favor for. I don't know what else to call a crony. They're not necessarily bad people. I would say that Sikorsky is a friend, in a way, a friend of the state of Connecticut, a corporation that every one of us wants to see benefit because of their history in this state, because of the wonderful product that they produce, because of what that product has meant to the defense of our nation. But we are still making a decision to give money to a corporation because it is our friend, because we know of it, because it is well connected, because it has powerful representatives up here at the Capitol. I say all this to be clear about what it is that we are doing. And I want to be clear, too, about why we do it, why we have to do it. And I think all my Republican colleagues will say this. We have, over decades, under Republican governors and Democratic governors, we have created a terrible business climate in Connecticut. Nothing has motivated my involvement in politics more than my concern about the development of this business climate, the decline of this business climate. We've created a climate so bad that companies are now coming to us and saying, you have to pay us to keep us in your state. And we're paying them because we want them. But it doesn't solve our problem. And as long as we keep paying them, rest assured they will keep lining up. And again, I don't blame them for doing it. When you start handing money out, you're going to find a lot of takers for it. But we're handing it out today. This is going to continue until we fix the underlying problem. Senator Kelly said earlier, what do we need to do to fix the problem? In my opinion, we need to do less. We need to spend less. We need to tax less. We need to regulate less. We need to leave businesses alone. That's what businesses, that's what people in Connecticut and taxpayers in Connecticut are crying out to us. Leave us alone. And that will provide stability for business, so they know what they are getting involved in going forward in this state, if they come here or if they wish to stay here. Stability and a reduction of the burden on business will restore the climate that we once had. That will restore it, and that alone can restore it. That is what brought Igor Sikorsky to Connecticut in the first place. He didn't go to Stratford because we paid him to go there. He went to Stratford because he saw a place that offered him an opportunity. And he took that opportunity, not because he had a good deal, but because he found a good place to do business. That's what we must restore. I believe that this expenditure moves us further away from it, and for that reason I will oppose it. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Senator Boucher.